Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for Truth show is sponsored by the office of Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff. Welcome back with us, and it's definitely a time for truth. Our world is going upside down, sideways, but we need to get it to go directly forward and up. That's what 2025 is supposed to be, a good year. So we're going to make it a good year. They say things don't just happen. You have to get them to occur. And tonight we have very lucky to have with us someone who has made things occur. He's got quite a background, and he's going to have a lot to share with us. So we want to get right to it so we can actually get information and data that's crucial to moving things forward in our country and our globe, our planet. So, Buddha, if you will, let's put his pictures up on the screen, and let's introduce our guest, Dr. Captain Gerald A. Higginbotham, an author, former airline pilot, educator, speaker, entrepreneur, community activist, and as I said, for 36 years, a captain of American Airlines. He's currently serving as the Prime Minister of the American Slave Nation and CEO President of Millionaires Incorporated, an alternative education company committed to creating 1 million millionaires in America. He lives in South California with his lovely wife, Marcia, and their 2 adult sons. Dr. Higginbotham has served as Executive Director of Unity for a Better Community, a 501c3 nonprofit centered on community building, providing life skills training. The organization effectively engaged adults and youth, improving their economic and social status by presenting them with financial literacy and knowing what to do with training throughout the St. Louis region. Dr. Gerald holds a BA in psychology from Cal State University, a PhD in biblical studies and divinity from the Jesus of Nazareth Church Ministries, and an advanced training at the Joseph School of Business Entrepreneurship, the Light Bible College, and Power Learning Systems. In 2015, the doctor joined the American Slaves Incorporated, ASI, another nonprofit. He joined as senior officer to provide information and education to descendants of American slaves. His ASI organization was recognized at the United Nations, and in January of 2024, Dr. Gerald gave a speech as a keynote speech at the MLK event and received the prestigious Dr. Martin Luther King Lifetime Achievement Award. The captain is also a John Maxwell certified coach, teacher, and speaker, offering workshops, seminars, keynote speaking, and coaching. An engineer, if you will. Let's bring him up on the screen and bid a warm welcome to Dr. Gerald A. Higginbotham. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ben. I am so honored to be on your show tonight. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to seeing what we can do together to begin to help empower the people to bring about change. And as you put earlier, turn this ship right side up so that we can make a nice, smooth landing.
Absolutely. I am totally with you, and you have so much to share. I want to start at the beginning because you are so prolific that we could have a whole show on just one of your topics. But I want to ask you, what were your dreams as a young man?
One of my dreams was to become a commercial airline pilot. That was my biggest dream. And I realized, being from the community and the community I live in Watts, I said I have to figure out how to get out of the ghetto. And I saw the aircrafts flying over, going into Los Angeles International Airport every 2 or 3 minutes. And I looked up and said, that's my ticket out of here. I'm going to fly that big old jet one day. And hey, it came to pass 20 years later.
Amazing, and you're actually sharing something that I've heard so much from others, the power of our decisions. Sometimes we don't realize the power that we hold within ourselves. So then you became a captain, and I wanted to ask you, because I've been on so many airplanes in the middle of storms. Recently in LaGuardia, we were landing, and he took back off again. You couldn't see anything. And I said, oh, my Lord. Tell us a little bit about being a captain of an airline with all those people on board with you.
The key thing that you got to always remember, if you save yourself, you're going to save the whole airplane. I take it personal that the goal and the objective is make sure to get on the ground safely. Everybody else will get on the airplane. If you have a control landing, everybody survives. If you don't have a control landing, everyone dies. So it's kind of selfish, but the key thing is to make sure that you do it right so that you can get everybody on the ground safely.
Well, you're an honest man, and that's what we need in this world, because this is what's been missing in our world for quite a while. It's an increasingly missing, void, absent. So, as I said, it's unbelievable how much you do. I don't know if you have a different day. Maybe you have a day that's 36 hours, but I wanted you to please share with us how you found the time to become executive director of Unity for a Better Community.
Well, I got to take you back to the beginning. You see, Einstein said, if you want to solve a problem, you got to start at the beginning. So it was because I was part of the Watts riot at 7 years old when our community burned down. And I saw that something was wrong. And I made a decision 3 years later, 1965, we had the first riot. April the 4th, we had Dr. King's assassination. And so we had another riot in the community. But it was that night, that was my late 10-year-old birthday present. I said, we're going to fix the community. So that was my first goal, is how can we create better communities? But I had to figure out how to get out of the community. And I saw the airplanes flying overhead. And so at 10 years old, I said, we're going to fly airplanes and we're going to do what we can to create better communities. And so that has been part of my life work. And so I've been on a mission for the last 57 years, since the night Dr. King was assassinated. And so I've been laser focused. And I've had the opportunity to, when I moved to St. Louis to fly for TWA, American Airlines, I saw how the community was bad there in St. Louis. A child died every night. Or when I went over to East St. Louis, it was a bad area. And I said, we got to fix this thing. So that's where I did my life work, testing the model and looking at how we can be able to bring about change. And so Unity for a Better Community, that's my nonprofit foundation. It's just a piece, a part of a big old puzzle that I have that can help bring about change. Because the nonprofit dollars helped let me back up. The nonprofit corporation has been set up to help solve problems in community. So we needed a nonprofit, and I couldn't think of a better name than Unity for a Better Community. I started it 21 years ago, actually 22 years ago. But in our society, we need unity right now. We need unity in our families. We need unities in our communities. We need unity in our nation. We need
Absolutely.
unity across the globe. So unity for a better community, it's just like if God put this in me to do this here for this moment in time. And so we got everything set up. And I'm excited because it was hard trying to find people to work. People don't like to work for free. So I said, I got to do this thing myself here to get it going and then bring other folks along on the journey, because you have to be the change that you want to see. And you got to have the mindset, if it is to be, it's up to me. So I started the journey, and, I had the opportunity to share people with the vision, and people are getting involved with it. And it's starting to bring about change in our society.
Well,
I know that's a
that's
long
what.
answer.
No, that was
That's
very
how I started.
concise and right to the point. That's why we have you on the show, because that's what this show is all about, is people like you. Here you were 10 years old, in a bad area, and you actually, at that young of an age, set the example for everyone who's watching this show, the power of what you decided, and the realization also, I want to give you some credit, the realization that you wanted to do something for other people, which I don't know, I think is disappearing in our world. What do you think?
I think you're right. People have lost, America has lost its moral vision. And where there's no morality and principles, people tend to go astray. And so what I'm attempting to do is be that, show them, here's the A, B, C, D, and G process, how we move you from poverty, ignorance, dependency, and complacency to knowledge, wealth, power, interdependency. It really is, it's no different than flying the jet, moving the people from, say, for instance, Los Angeles to LaGuardia. It's a process. And we have to educate people. The airline industry has been one of the greatest things that I could have been a part of, because although we've had a lot of issues here lately, but for the most part, the airline industry has been very, very successful in its endeavors and its processes. And so what I have done, I've kind of like lined up myself with the airline processes to help to move the people. I have my online millionaire training program called the Captain's Millionaire. Well, I'm about teaching people how to do it right. I set up a TSA, like a security checkpoint. Before you get on board a jet, you got to come through TSA. So I set up a TSA out there online that stands for Think, Speak, and Act. Because your thought life controls your life, and whatever you speak, you act on, and whatever you act on, it produces a result. So I set up that training for people to come through it that will help them see it differently and have the mindset of a millionaire. I set up the Captain's Millionaire because, one, I want you to think like a captain, speak like a captain, act like a captain. And a Captain Millionaire is principle, purpose, process, precision, people, priority, prosperity, philosophy driven. So when they come through that training, they will know the 8Ps, and their lives will be principle centered. And then also, too, they'll learn about what the rich know. The only difference between rich people and poor people, it's not money, it's knowledge. They have a different vocabulary. And so I teach them how to change their words in the process. It's really exciting because this is the tool that we need to move us from where we are to where we need to be to right size the ship. And then I do a lot of other things too to make sure that we heal America, because
Well, yeah,
America's in trouble right now.
that's what I wanted to ask you, because first of all, I want to congratulate you on your Millionaire Club. I'll tell you why. A lot of people don't realize that, but we make more people that are prosperous. It's like what you said. You wanted to land that ship, and then all the other people on the plane landed. So the more millionaires we have, that means the more people are getting prosperous with them, beside them, and behind them, or in front of them. So that was very smart thinking. I wanted to ask you, so now you're this entrepreneur. What inspired you now? Because you went on as a minister, and you pursued a religious path, a biblical path, to continue to bring help to people with life skills. What got you to look at that at the ministerial side?
Well, that happens when I was younger. I saw that I went to a Lutheran school. You know, my mom had a few dollars to help uh, put us through that process. And I learned about Jesus Christ. I learned about he is the truth, the way, the truth, and the life, and nobody comes to the Father but by him. So I needed to learn my purpose. And so by me going through that door, I was able to learn that we were been put here on the earth to work, to make it a better place. And I know that I'm a spirit, I possess a soul, I live in a physical body. So I learned who I was in the process. And see, and once you know who you are and what you are, then and only then do you know what you can become and what you can do to bring about change. And so, you know, the Bible says narrow is the path that leads to life, and only a few people find it. It says wide is the way to destruction, and many go there. And so I found the path, and all I'm trying to do is show others the path. It is so exciting when you know who you are and what you've been called to the planet to do. You don't get moved by the things around you. You become laser focused and you work very hard to get to your destination. It's no different than flying the airplane. It's you are laser focused because you have a destination in mind, and you're well trained, and you do what you got to do to bring the folks to where they need to be. And it's the same process for how we're going to heal America. I'm on a mission to raise up 1 million millionaires. We're going to close the income gap between the rich and the poor. That's a mission of mine. And I'm so excited about it, Doc, because we could do this. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. But there are some things that we have to do first, that we must do first. And hopefully we'll talk about those if you ask the question, right question.
Now let's continue, because you're giving great answers, solutions, and that's what this country needs. That's what the world really needs. So you become a minister, you're already an entrepreneur, you've been a captain, you got your life's dream in your hands. And so now tell us about, because then you go into something else, which is very interesting. And I want to bring this point up before I ask you the question. Really, when we look at America and we get this prejudice or racism or whatever, and I look at it and I go, I didn't exist in America at the beginning. So if I came here in the 1400s, there are probably Indians who were here. And if I look at it, where are the Indians now? Where are their rights now? And who speaks about them? And all I remember when I was a little kid watching the movies and the Indians getting killed. And it was like that was supposed to be the good thing. And I was a little kid watching it, So, I want to preface it with that because I'd like us, like you and I are doing, to get people to realize, like you said, life is a miracle. God here put us here on a purpose. I don't think he put us here to fight with each other. He could do other things. Maybe the devil did, but we don't have to follow the devil. So what I wanted to ask you, with that preface, tell us about your group or your group's group that you became part of, American Slaves Incorporated, and their aim to regarding, racism and these barriers that are out there in the world. Please.
I am so excited about this part because, see, we've been off course. And I know as a former airline captain, you can be 1/10 of a degree off course and you'll never arrive at your destination. Just like the other night they had out there in Washington, D.C. The helicopter was off 1/10 of a degree. It created an issue. And it's like where we are in America. Well, I have looked at this thing. I've asked the tough questions and I've come up with some solutions about the issues plaguing America. We're still dealing with the after effect of American slavery. It has never been put to bed. And so everything rises and falls on leadership. And our leaders have not taken time out to focus on this one little piece. Well, actually, yesterday, the president-elect made a comment. There's an issue in the country right now about birthrights, citizenship. And I was sitting in church and something popped up on my phone about Donald Trump says the birthrights were for the slaves. That was huge. I got so excited. I said, finally, somebody's telling the truth. Because, see, America bred her own slaves from 1776 1863, that 87 window period, America created the American slave culture. And she doesn't talk about it. But American slavery is American history. And family, I get so excited because America's had no other child but the slaves. And she's been a deadbeat parent to her firstborn and to her descendants. Now, I need to say the American slave culture was created under the Republic of the United States. And what happened, I love talking about this piece because I had to learn this. Our schools don't teach American slave history. And we got to learn it because this is the only way how we're going to fix the crack in America's slave foundation. Slavery was the economic cornerpiece to the economy of the United States Foundation, and we've never addressed it. And so here's how we're going to address it. One is by education. And this book here, this is one of my favorite books called America's Little Black Book. And I really want your audience to go out there and get the book because it's going to take knowledge, relevant knowledge. We just completed our 26th book on American slave history. Oh my God. And this 26th book here is called The Wait is Over. Now, Dr. Martin Luther King wrote a book says, we can't wait. And then they assassinated him. And so the American slave culture has not moved. We've been called slaves, colored, Negro, black, now African American. I asked the question, why so many name changes? Reason why, it was all economics. The American slave culture don't know who they are. The descendants of American slaves don't know. And so we've been called African American here lately. But African Americans are immigrants. Just this week here, yesterday, I went to an African American summit. I was one of 3 people there that was a descendant of American slaves. And I told them, I stood up, I said, all you guys are immigrants. African Americans are immigrants. They're those who born on the continent that legally come here by plane or boat, go through the United States immigration process and nationalize and get green cards. I said, this is my birth certificate. I'm a descendant of American slaves. And I said, that has been the piece. Nobody talks about that. And I got so excited in church yesterday when Donald Trump mentioned, the president mentioned that the birthrights were for the American slave culture. I said, finally, somebody told the truth, because that is huge. Because see, America bred her own slaves, and she's been a deadbeat parent to her firstborn and to her descendants. So now that that is out, we can begin to heal the foundation, because it's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's what happened. But we need to understand American slave history because it's not taught in school. But the moment we learn this here, we'll be able to understand that this was America firstborn under the Republic of the United States, and they got birthrights, and this is the culture we need to heal, because unless we heal the foundation, America will never be whole. So the training that I offer, I teach on American slave history. I'm teaching on using those 26 books that is our foundation. And I'm excited about it because once you learn about it, it's life-changing. I get so excited. I remember when I first started learning about it, I got very angry about the word slave.
Captain Higginbotham is talking about is so true, because there's even in many other histories of mankind, even against in my Jewish culture, people saying that the Holocaust didn't occur. And you go, well, how can they think the Holocaust and the concentration camps didn't occur? And, you know, as he was saying, you know, the American slaves who came here very early on had been born here and Americans. And really, in reality, they're here longer than I am. And even though I'm an American citizen, a Cuban American citizen, being born in Cuba first, but I also was an immigrant. Actually, I think, as Dr. Higginbotham was saying, it's important for us to realize that this country has a very special role in the world. This country is a symbol. This country encompasses and really takes in all different cultures, all different races, all different religions. And we have to look at the reality that even in families of the same religion, of the same race, of the same origin, there's always conflict. And we have to resolve the conflict as Captain, Dr. Higginbotham was saying, we have to resolve it by acknowledging, because that's called communicating. And if we communicate and we acknowledge, it's amazing what an acknowledgement will do. And as he found, President Trump's statement and giving an acknowledgement to something that had not been looked at made him happy that something had occurred. Let's look at this show and what Captain Dr. Higginbotham was saying. Let's heed his words. He wrote 2 great books, Collaboration, Teamwork, and Networking. And another one that I love, the title is great, This is Your Captain Speaking. When he speaks on the airplane, you listen to him. Everybody gets quiet because they want that plane to land. So, he's an amazing guy. He also launched the Juneteenth Jubilee Time Bank Share to have goals of self-emancipation, debt freedom, empowerment, and the ultimate word, forgiveness, forgiving each other. And I want you to realize that this man has received the Martin Luther King Lifetime Achievement Award. He's a very humble man. And unfortunately, the technology has stopped him from being for the rest of the show, but I'm going to continue for him because maybe this is an example of what's supposed to happen in life. As he said, unity, collaboration, working as a team to resolve global conflict, to resolve persecution, prejudice, racism of any kind. The question to ask, if you were the victim of that racism, would you enjoy it? If you were the victim or your wife of that conflict or that violence and she was injured, would you regret that you never had fixed it to begin with? Let's fix it to begin with. I'm a surgeon, and I can tell you something. When I do surgery on my patients, regardless of their creed, culture, nation of origin, race, or religion, when we do surgery, they all bleed the same. They don't want to have pain, and they want to end up healthy, and they want the procedure to work. Let's have our procedures work. Let's employ humanity. And as a final comment, let's apply what the Surgeon General of our country stated a year and a half ago, Dr. Vivek Murthy, MD, who told us we were suffering from an epidemic of isolation and loneliness that was causing physical and mental illness and community and societal ills. Well, let's listen to Captain Minister Dr. Higginbotham. Let's listen to Martin Luther King and Gandhi and to the Surgeon General and all the others. And let's realize that with unity and humanity, the miracle of life will exist. The toxicity, whether it's chemical, physical, or human toxicity, will evaporate. Let the rain come. Let's wash that away. Let's bring in a new day. The flowers of all colors sprout up like a rainbow of all colors. May mankind be free together in unity. Thank you for being on this episode of A Time for Truth show. We'll see you next time.
This show was sponsored by A Time for Truth Foundation Incorporated as a community service.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet